Story 1. I will be 75 soon. I live in a retirement community and all my friends are older than me. My best friends are 89 and 91. So I see age a bit differently than most of you. I know you are not done when you become old. You can still be funny, informed, and active in meaningful ways. I would like to live another 15 years at least. Story 2. With all the drug and alcohol abuse in my 20s and early 30s, plus being paraplegic with bowel and bladder issues, I'd be surprised if I lived until 60, even living a healthy, sober lifestyle now. Story 3. Between a traumatic brain injury that almost killed me at 13, diabetes on both sides, dementia on both sides, and cancer on both sides, I'm on borrowed time already at 32, and I'll just take as many healthy years as I get. Story 4. Everyone in my family lives to a ripe old age, fit and well with full faculties. I'm aiming for at least 100 years or 120 if this whole baby plasma thing works out. Story 5. I was told I would only live 12 hours when I was born due to a heart condition. I am 20 now and in perfect health. I am going to school to be a nurse and help people like me. Story 6. Hopefully not too long. Whenever it starts going south, I'm good. Honestly, even if I'm still in good shape at 70, I don't want to be on this earth that long. Story 7. Depression and other issues had me planning to take my own life at 20. I was already thinking this around 15 or so. I had that timeline and thought, if things don't get better by that age, I'm done. I'm 28 and doing better. Story 8. 80 is good. No more, no less. I'm not sure I'll make it, though. I lost my mother to cancer back in 2020, and there's more history of it in the family. I hit the gym 3 times a week and eat healthy, but you never know, and that's considering dying of age. Story 9. I was convinced I would only make it to 25. I'm now 54, and I'm thinking 90 seems reasonable, but I'd like it to end soon. I've had a fun time and I'm fit. I'm in amazing health, but I don't need another 36 years. Story 10. I planned my suicide 15 years ago and failed. I had the option to refuse chemotherapy for stage 3 cancer 10 years ago, but did not. However, I fully expect I will be eradicated within the next 2 years by the current administration. Thus, age 45. Story 11. I want to live long enough to have kids and watch them grow up. My grandparents are 80 and still easily use the stairs and go on hikes, so I like my chances. Story 12. 50. Probably I will live longer, but if I were to guess, I would say 50. Why? Just because I am very unsure about the future right now. If I have to live a life of nothing but endless work, then I will not feed into the machine. I would sooner go off the grid, where I would promptly die because I do not know how to survive on my own. Story 13. My dad died suddenly at 35 of an unknown heart condition. I had so many anxiety attacks the year I turned 30. I was sure that I was going to die that year. I am 39 now. Story 14. I have autism and severe scoliosis that surgery failed to treat and is predicted to worsen with time. I have seen what happens to older people who have scoliosis that does not respond to treatment. One of them was a friend of my mother who needed a kidney removed because the pressure of her spine was crushing her internal organs. She also had trouble breathing because her lungs did not have enough room to expand properly. A couple of members of my graduating class I went to a school for people with autism already passed away from health complications in their mid-20s, so I probably will not be far behind. My estimate is that I will probably die somewhere in my mid to late 30s. Story 15. I'm hoping not much past 75. Retire at 55 is the plan. Spend all the money. Try heroin for the first and last time and be gone. No kids to worry about and have worked hard since 15, so I want to live the life in retirement that I didn't as a kid or young adult. Open to this changing as I age and have a different perspective, but right now I can't visualize myself as an old person. Story 16. Most of my grandparents who did not meet an abrupt end and instead died of old age made it to their early 90s, so I expect the same. If I get hit by a truck, my plane crashes, or I get shot by a crazy person, I will die sooner, but in the absence of that, 92 sounds about right. There is a small chance that all the research into studying aging leads to a reasonably affordable life extension treatment that might allow me to live longer. It is possible. Story 17. Becoming 50 in a few months and not being super healthy. I guess I am lucky to make it to 75. Given the state of the world, I don't want to get too old to be honest. Story 18. With how stressed I am lately, the little sleep I get, and how I had major depression for years in my teens, I told my wife that it will probably be another 5 years before I have a stroke or heart attack. I am only 38. Story 19. I'm not making it to 50. I have an out and everything planned. The 20s were when life was truly good, and I wasted it. In my 30s, everything started hurting, and now that I'm in my 40s, I hurt and I'm failing at things and my friends are mostly gone or dead. I have watched people have kids, and those kids are now almost adults themselves. I should not have lasted this long. Story 20. Whenever I get dementia, at which point I'm piecing out and eating my 1911, so I guess 70s? Unless it's early onset, then it's closer to 30s. Could likely be earlier if life just absolutely falls apart. Story 21. No clue. My mother is 75 and still going strong. My father died fairly young of stomach cancer, but that was brought on by alcoholism, and oddly enough, stomach cancer is not typically genetic. My mother's side of the family has a handful of people who died in their 40s or early 50s, but also a whole branch where nearly everyone lived into their late 80s and 1 to 103. The exception there died in a car wreck. On my father's side, his mother lived to 77 and his father to his 70s, and I've got aunts and uncles aplenty who lived into their 80s. So probably 75 and older, if the good Lord is willing and my blood pressure doesn't rise. Story 22. 80 to 85, maybe if I am lucky, 90. I have 3 family members that lived past 100. I wonder how long my grandpa would have lived if he did not have that stroke. He died at the age of 90. He was in bed for 2 years, lost a ton of weight, and was ultimately finished off by a Helicobacter infection. Story 23, late 60s to early 70s. I am scared of what my arthritis will do to me by then, though. I don't ever want to be taken care of or in a home. I would rather opt out early. Story 24. Family history, excluding violent death, and being physically active and social suggests that living until 85 to 90 years old is a reasonable expectation, with up to 100 being possible. Assuming I do not get sick either. Story 25. When I was a teenager, I didn't expect to make it to 20. Now I'm in my mid-20s, prescribed Prozac, and I've been in therapy for years. I want to live to my old age now. I always imagine I'll end my life when the dementia is far enough to be noticed but early enough that I'm still aware I have it. Story 26. As long as possible, provided I'm in good enough health to enjoy myself. 100 sounds like a good, round number. I find it mystifying to see so many say they want to die young. Maybe some of it is people trying to be edgy, maybe it's me being young and naive. I just know that I love life, even through all the hardships and the nonsense. I would take being here existing over the alternative, for as long as I have the option. Story 27. I hit 40 last year and said, this is the true middle age. Everyone says 50s, but that's if you think you'll make it to 100. My dad mentioned something around the holidays about bucket list items and said all the men in the family usually reach a maximum age of 75, so I guess sometime in the next 30 to 35 years. Story 28. Not long since I was very young, I have had a premonition that I would die early in an accident, and that my brother would die at 27 from health issues. Well, he died last year at 27 after a year-long battle with leukemia. I am almost 26 and going to college this year, so I do not die feeling unaccomplished. Story 29. It was almost 27. I am now aiming for at least 32 because then I will have hit an age my mom didn't. My family has a low life expectancy. I will be impressed if I get to 65. Story 30. Looking at how medical technology keeps advancing, I would not be surprised if I hit 95. My doctor says I have the heart of a 20-year-old, which is hilarious considering how much pizza I eat. But hey, I will take it. Story 31. I don't know if it's related to family average, but if it's like that, then I am going 85 or older. I prefer not to go to a phase where life physically can't be lived alone, though. Story 32. I've always had this strong feeling since I was a child that I'd die young, so I don't expect to live that long. Maybe I'll die in a car accident or something. Story 33. Either I will take after my dad's side of the family and live to 100 with no major issues save a little arthritis, or I will take after my mom's side and develop a variety of cancers, immune disorders, and dementia, and be in the ground by 75. Story 34. I have no presumptions or expectations. I may get hit by a bus tomorrow. I thank God for the time that I am given and try to put some good in the world at every opportunity. If I fret over how much time I may or may not have left, it steals the joy from what I have right now. So I just say thank you. Story 35. I do not know much about my father's family, but on my mother's side, most of them live well into their 90s. So, barring any accidents or surprises, I expect to follow that tradition. Story 36. Until the last atom falls into the last black hole, I will then fall in myself, either to be spat out from the unity singularity again to start it all over or turn into Galactus. One or the other. Expected lifespan. Infinite. Story 37. In my 40s, my health is declining as it did in my 30s, and I no longer have the money to investigate it further. Whatever happens, happens. It doesn't look good. My lymph nodes under my chin have been swollen for about a year. Story 38. Didn't think I'd make it this far. I'm 26 now, either 60 or 130, depending on if the world goes to ruin or we figure our collective issues out and invest in good rather than unlimited corporate greed. Story 39. I am in my early 40s and I keep reiterating what is old. My family history tells me my life expectancy is about 75, given all the bad habits, and I have never intended to get this far, 60 at best, but people at my work are super active in their 80s, so maybe aging past 60 is not so bad. Story 40. That is hard to answer. If things were to go well, how I envision it, I would say several hundred or possibly thousands through the development of technology to upload our consciousness into a new body of some sort. However, I also do not see things going well. I foresee possible disease or, more likely, violence in the next few decades. Story 41. Hoping for 100 and to keep all my faculties. People don't realize that someone born in either the 1990s or 2000s most likely will live longer than 80, but also have something introduced in their lifetime to slow aging or reverse it, while also lengthening their current lifespan. Story 42. Health-wise, I'm okay. Just a little high blood pressure at 31. No major issues or defects, so probably into my 70s. The only reason not older is because most of the jobs I've done are physical, and I'm sure that will come at a price somewhere down the line. Story 43. My family has a history of heart disease and cancer and have typically died in their 50s. I'm still in my 20s and have developed stress-related heart issues, so I'm just kind of along for the ride until one day when I won't be. Story 44. I will be happy if I reach 70, not sure if I will, but I would like to. 72, and it will be the 1,000-year mark since the Battle of Hastings, and I am distantly descended from William the Conqueror, so that would be cool. Story 45. My sister died of cancer at 34, and I have visions of myself dying from it much the same. My whole life, even before she died, I have said I'll die around 35. My mom would ask me why on earth I'd say that as a kid, and I've just always had this weird feeling. Story 46. I've had this weird thing where, as a child, I never thought I would make it to adulthood, to the point where the idea of being an adult simply never occurred to me. I had a very unstable upbringing and was very sickly, to the point where I had to be revived 3 times. I am now in my 40s and am still surprised every time I wake up in the morning. Story 47. I take really good care of myself. I don't drink and I don't smoke. I cook everything from scratch, keep my sodium low, and avoid preservatives. I exercise 7 days a week. I had hoped to live up to 90 or more. But now, with this current insane situation in our country, I don't even want to live anymore. I'm fine with checking out any day now. Story 48. Let me tell you, watching my granny age has not been pretty. So, depending on how broken my body becomes, 70 to 75 would be my preferred age to go. But if I can remain pretty healthy and can still get around on my own, making it to 85 would be pretty cool. Story 49. Unfortunately, a very long life may end up in a nursing home with dementia. My family is long-lived. Both my mother and grandfather lived to 96. I would prefer to live to 85 if I am healthy. Story 50. According to recent data, a 36-year-old male in the United States can expect to live to around 74.36 years, meaning he has roughly 38 years left to live based on current life expectancy statistics for males, which is around 74.8 years old. Story 51. I planned on living until I was 17. I was diagnosed with complex post-traumatic stress disorder, bipolar II disorder, and chronic anxiety. I just turned 28 a few months ago and got married 2 years ago. I finally moved out of my abusive parents' house when I was 24. Those were things I never saw myself doing or thought I was capable of. At this point, I'm just taking it day by day and kind of winging it. So, victory, I guess. Story 52. Both of my parents lived into their 90s, so maybe that's my expectation. But honestly, I'd be glad to check out earlier than live in a dementia nursing home. Story 53. I seldom drink, I run a lot, and I eat healthy, rarely eating junk food. I've been working out since I was 15 years old. I'm 32 years old now. My goal is to be the 90-plus-year-old man still going for runs. So the goal is at least 95. Story 54. As high as possible. My purpose in life is to be a major burden on society. I will do everything in my power to just be a drain when I'm old. Forget this place. Story 55. Neither of my parents made it past that. Cancer. 3 of my grandparents also had cancer, but they lived to be 80. Basically, I am going to die of cancer.